Ta-da!
Hi, my name's Layne Huber. I'm one of the principals here at Meeples Crossing, and we're doing a interview with ourselves, with Andrew Wall, the other principal at
Hi.
Meeples Crossing, asking me questions um, that we thought would be of interest, just so you guys can get to know us a little bit and know what we're about and learn more about our products and stuff. So he'll be asking me questions, and I'll be responding. And then later, we'll do it the other way around. Well, I'll ask him dumb questions and watch him flounder helplessly as he tries to come up with something that's like marketable and really isn't possible. So that's our goal.
Yes.
I gave him serious questions. Later, I'm just gonna mess with him. So stick around for that video next week. So what's our first question here?
So, our first question would be, why did you decide to start a t-shirt apparel web store for the board game niche?
Right. So a couple different reasons. Our background is we run a business called Zero X Branding. So we've done a lot of websites and business branding. We've done a lot of clothing design and production, but more for companies rather than for actual apparel brands. So this is the first time we're doing kind of more of an apparel brand. I'm a big board game hobbyist, and I love board games. So it just seemed like a really interesting place to intersect the kind of our past experience with the things we love. And it's also really fun to actually design and produce clothing. Like, it's actually really neat. Like, we've designed these things, but eventually when we get to that feeling when you hold that thing you designed and produced and fulfilled, when you get to hold that and you're like, I made this thing, that's something that's always stuck out to me as being really cool. We have a lot of experience with Shopify. We've been using that quite a bit recently. So it just made sense.
Oh, yeah. I know that Meeples Crossing has been on your mind for a long time. What made now the right time to launch a web store?
Well, I think it's not a specifically great time to launch a web store or a new business. But we had these ideas for these designs and for these products. I had the idea for these side shirts all the way back in kind of late last year when we were first talking about this. And we're in a lucky position where we're able to, we're being paid from elsewhere, from our design business. So we really don't have to be worried about making a killing. So even if nobody bought these shirts, like say no one bought these shirts, no one bought our shirts, or if the adoption rate was really slow, I think we still would have made them anyway, because they're something that we had the vision for, we did the design work for. We're excited to wear these t-shirts even if nobody else wears them. And especially if nobody else wears them, because then we're like wearing Uber Collector Series. Nobody has these. So we'd still rather you actually buy some. But at the same time, they're kind of one of a kind, and we're excited to produce them. So for me, Meeples Crossing as a name started back 4 or 5 years ago. And Alyssa, my wife, and I were in Victoria for like our anniversary. We went to a board game cafe there. I can't remember what it's called. And it was just a really cool experience. And coming back, I was like, I'm going to start a board game cafe. It's brilliant. And we're going to call it Meeples Crossing, because I thought that kind of was a neat atmosphere of a place where people come and gather and play board games. So, the crossing paths, as it were. Pretty soon after that, I realized, well, I have zero experience with anything related to running a cafe, let alone a board game cafe. And this is a lot of work and way more work than I was willing to commit to, and with zero understanding of how any of it would work. So I was very happy when places like Hexagon and Pips Cafe started, and a bunch of different other board game cafes. And I was like, oh, good, somebody else is doing that. I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I still had that kind of that name on my mind, and it was really cool to kind of be able to pull that in for this. Is it like the perfect name? Not necessarily. I think Meeples are kind of oversaturated at this point, but it's still I like it. So we went with it.
Well, it's good that at least you like it. It's probably all that matters, right?
At least I like it. Everyone else is like, but I like it, so that's too bad.
Did you encounter
you
any
like
difficulties in getting Meeples Crossing going?
Difficulties. There was definitely things we weren't aware of. And we knew that going in. We knew that you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So there was a bunch of stuff we had to research, and like previously we've been running as a sole proprietorship with our design business. We wanted to be an incorporation for this. So there was kind of a learning curve with that. COVID means that you can't get samples anymore. You have to buy samples. So we've bought a ton of sample shirts, and we have this whole rack over here of just shirts. It's pretty cool, actually. I like our rack. I'm not gonna lie.
Such a cool rack of sample shirts.
And it's
that's neat.
Yeah, so we had to buy these because they're like, well, we don't. If you put them on, we don't want them back. So that was interesting. Also, I think like we didn't really realize. I think we didn't really realize with the size shirts, with our preliminary design, we wanted there to be a shirt in every color, and that turned out to be difficult, right?
Right.
Because nobody buys. Nobody really has yellow shirts for no reason. So there's only one or two lines that have the colors that we need. So that was a bit difficult. And then on top of that, those lines that had the colors we need oftentimes didn't have the sizes we wanted. We wanted to be from small all the way up to 3XL. And some of them were just like, we don't have 3XL. Or our first initial choice had 3XL, but it was like bizarro rating, not rating.
Horrible sizing.
Yeah, like their sizing for it. It just didn't make sense. It was like another 8 to 10 inches bigger. Yeah,
basically turning a shirt into a dress for who knows what reason.
So those were a huge pain in the butt. But we still really wanted that experience, so we kind of pushed through it. I think, we're halfway through the process. We haven't fulfilled these shirts yet. We have them all designed. We have the shirt that we want them printed on all picked out. But no doubt there'll be one or two more road bumps along the way. No, that's okay. That's part of running a business.
Yeah.
I mean, better if it was all smooth sailing, but you can't really expect that.
So on the Meeples Crossing store, we have a whole bunch of designs.
Yeah, 17
that we've put together,
products, which is phenomenal. I'm really happy with that. I'm quite proud of that.
Which of the Meeples Crossing shirt designs have been your favorite to work on?
Oh, my favorite to work on. I think Wingspan was really cool to see how that kind of the vision I had. I had an initial sketch and kind of an initial image in my head of what the Wingspan shirt would look like. And the design process is often very difficult in that you start off with nothing and you kind of do your first design and you're like, that looks like trash. What am I doing with my life? But seeing how, as we've iterated it and trusted this in kind of our system that we've got going, that it ended up being what it is today, that design right there, um, and it ended up being really good. And at the start, I thought we could make it look like that, but I couldn't figure out quite how to do it. So it was really cool to see that process.
Hmm. What was one of the trickiest designs to create?
Well, the wingspan one. Like I said, there was definitely iterations where I was like, this is not working.
Yeah.
But also some of the side ones were very difficult. We took the mech miniatures and we took some reference pictures of them, kind of from the perspective up here that you're kind of looking up at it. Because what I really wanted with the side shirts was that feeling that you're looking up at those mechs. In the game, the mechs are awesome, but you're kind of just looking down on them and on the board, so they kind of
Yep.
lose their massive mech feel. I don't know what that feeling would be called other than that, because you are looking down on them, so they end up looking a bit diminutive. So on our shirts, I wanted it to be, I wanted it to fill the shirt and have that feeling that you're looking up at it. But the miniatures are somewhat like, when you really get up to it, they're kind of missing they're not super detailed. They're detailed enough for the game that it's fine. But when it came to converting it into a full size t-shirt, we had to do kind of a lot of conjecture where we were like, okay, we've got this part. How does this connect over here? And how can we make it a little bit more detailed enough to be interesting on a shirt? And kind of had to come up with some design elements for it and come up with like, well, I guess we could just have rivets here and these rivets fit for sure. And so it was a really interesting, I think, design process for that, because we had to kind of guess. We're like, we know the general shape, but how do we add a bit more detail and resolution to it so it looks good on a shirt? That was pretty difficult, especially with some of them, like the Tagoa shirt. It was a lot more curvy. And the Crimean shirt one was actually pretty difficult too, because it has a lot of getting the perspective right on the big wheel was kind of tricky, and getting all the spokes in the right spot was also pretty difficult as well.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to come up with a leading question for you. The launch of Meeples Crossing coincides with the fundraiser we're doing, or that's going on for FallCon this year. Why is that?
I think that was just happy coincidence. Like I had posted earlier in our board games group that, that right at the start of COVID-19, that we were planning on, well, that we ran a design business, and that if there were businesses who needed some help for free, that they could contact us, and we would be happy to like help people out. And then also, I mentioned within that we were working on Meeples Crossing, and that there was a potential for kind of including people in that process. And FallCon contacted me based off of that, I believe. Maybe they can verify that. And they can't have their convention this year, but they still, which is essentially where they get all their funding and all their money, is that yearly convention. But they still wanted to gain enough funds to be able to keep buying newer games for their library and keep, upgrading their library. So that's a big feature of FallCon, is you have your big library of games that, like, realistically is thousands of games. And they wanted to be able to continue to build that heading into the next convention. So they approached us to design their shirts for them, 2 shirts. So the FallCon 33 shirt and then the classic red shirt.
Yeah.
and we agreed to do that for them. So it works really nicely for them that we've come up with these designs, and all of the money that you spend on a Falcon shirt either goes to the cost of the shirt, well, the portion of it goes to the cost, and then whatever's left over as margin goes to Falcon. None of it goes to us. And then any of our shirts that you buy alongside a Falcon product, we donate $2 to Falcon, as well as whatever they earn off the Falcon shirts. So I think that works really well for us because we're brand new. Nobody knows about us. So we kind of are gaining the advantage of getting visibility to Falcon's reach of people. And I think they have like 900 every year or something like that come to their convention. So they've got a lot more of a reach than we do. And we're able to support them. They're local, and that's really exciting. And they're able to kind of help us build this new local business as well, which I think is exciting for them, as well as they don't have to pay a chunk of their margin to a different store. Like Amazon takes a big chunk of it if you're selling with them. Etsy and Redbubble, I'm not sure what their pricing is, but being able to kind of go through us, we're able to basically do it for them for free from our side. We're not charging them to host their shirts on our site. They get us our experience producing these shirts, designing these shirts, procuring these shirts, and then they'll be fulfilled along with ours, and they'll be coming alongside us and helping us with a bunch of it as well. So they'll have one pickup location up in the Northwest, and they'll be helping us out in other ways as well. So it's really working well, I think, and it's been a great partnership, I believe.
Huh. That's cool. So, what's one thing that you want people to know about Meeples Crossing and our products? Maybe a shameless plug?
I mean, we've talked about this before, but we don't design a shirt until we have a good idea of what the shirt should look like, and until we have an idea that we're like, yeah, I'd wear that shirt. Like, we're not here to, like, we have the licensing or the agreement permission to do shirts and apparel for all of Stonemaier games, which is a huge, awesome blessing for us. And we haven't produced a shirt for every single Stonemaier IP game because we want to have like a good idea for a shirt design that's not just, it's not just the Wingspan shirt isn't just the Wingspan bird, and the side shirt isn't like side. Like, we want it to be actually like a unique design that people can identify as being from that shirt without it spelling it out that it's from that shirt. Like, it's a lot more fun if you've got a shirt that, people can, they're like, oh, that's from Wingspan, rather than, and people who haven't played Wingspan will be like, I don't know what that is. And it allows, that's a lot more fun than just being like, this is a Wingspan t-shirt, and then everyone knows. So really, we have the idea and the vision for it first. And then we spend quite a bit of time actually designing it. Most of our designs have taken at least 10 hours. And that's kind of our focus, is we want to produce high quality, interesting shirts. Not just a board game logo. So that, I think that's, in the long run, that's going to be our advantage.
Yeah, you can check out the store and the Falcon fundraiser at www.meeplescrossing.com, all one word, and help support your local board game community while you check it out.
Yeah, you're supporting Falcon, you're supporting us. Also, if you get the chance, you should I did want to still talk about the fairy thing. You should.
Oh, did you?
I did. One of our favorite designs, and like kind of our. This is a bit hidden. You won't find it unless we. Well, you will find it eventually. But we really like the design we came up with for the abandoned cart email that goes to you. So we don't really like the super passive aggressive, like, oh, you abandoned your cart, like, we hate you. More of a, we wanted it to be fun. So in the shower one day, I was like, well, what could we say? We could say, like, every time you abandon your cart, an elf or a fairy kicks the bucket. So as a kind of a kid, we had this VHS of the Peter Pan, like, stage play. And at one point, Tinkerbell is dying because somebody said they don't believe in fairies. And you had to, like, oh, clap your hands and say you believe in fairies. And Tinkerbell will be well. Yay! And it was, like, it was awful. So I was like, well, maybe we could say that. We were like, if you abandon your cart, like a fairy kicks the bucket. And I was like, it's kind of dark because, it's you saying if you don't buy a product, then the fairy dies. So that seemed a little extreme. So we changed it to be, wouldn't it be kind of funny if it was like every time someone abandons their cart, a fairy literally has to kick this dumb bucket. So anyway, we came up with, it's dumb, I know, but we came up with a fairy graphic that's, she's kicking a bucket. And we asked her, please stop abandoning the carts because she has to keep kicking this stupid bucket. And that's just not fair. So if you get the chance, just throw some products in our cart and abandon it, and then just get the email just because it's our favorite thing we did.
I gotta try that, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess you may not have seen that email yet. You should probably try it. Anyway,
I think I will.
That's it for this interview, I believe.
Sounds good.